We just showed we can do any damn thing we want to do.
Ball is out. Touchdown! Chase Young for the win. It's good.
Gave us a spark as a team.
Yeah, big W.
He's going to go all the way. Touchdown! Stephon Diggs makes a catch. Touchdown, Buffalo.
Tom Brady corrected course for the Bucs yesterday, throwing 2 TDs in a win against the Vikings to avoid their 3rd straight loss. As we take a look at the current NFC playoff standings, the Bucs maintain the 6th spot with the win. Meanwhile, that bad man and his Packers are holding that all-important number 1 seed, which means a first-round bye at home field. So the Saints and Packers have clinched. Assuming the Bucs join them, Stephen A., do you think Brady would be the most important player in the NFC playoffs?
I believe so. Because I believe that if Brady somehow, with the rest of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are clicking on all cylinders offensively, I think they're going to the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, that hasn't been the case, and we've seen a precipitous drop-off compared to our expectations. Not necessarily Max, because he was all about the Saints at the beginning of the season. I was all about the Buccaneers. But here's the reality. When you look at Aaron Rodgers, of course, you got mad respect for Devontae Adams, to slightly lesser degree Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Alan Lazard and those boys. But look at the weapons on Tampa Bay. You got Ronald Jones averaging more than 5 yards a carry, who clearly should be running the football more than Bruce Arians is giving them an opportunity to do so. You've got Gronk at your tight end spot along with Cameron Brate. You never even really thought about Scott Miller until this year, and he's their primary deep threat. And that doesn't even take into consideration a Mike Evans, a Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown, who for some reason doesn't look like the all-world receiver and future Hall of Famer that we knew him to be. So, but all of those weapons are what Tom Brady has at his disposal. So for me, when I look at the Green Bay Packers, I look at a well-balanced team led by a superstar in Aaron Rodgers with 39 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. But I still look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as being presumably on paper the more explosive, more potent, better offense that can really, really make a run if all cylinders were clicking appropriately. That's the difference between the two. I think with the Green Bay Packers, you look at a multitude of different things. With the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, everything appears to be riding on Tom Brady and how he can click with these weapons he has available to him.
I don't see it that way at all. I think the whole thing about Tampa is their defense. When their defense is elite, they're very tough to beat because Brady doesn't have to do too much because, frankly, he's not capable of doing that much anymore. He's 43 years old, even though he has an embarrassment of riches on offense. Like, it's no other quarterback. Like, it's so many guys that can produce on that offense. It's ridiculous. No, what other quarterback has that number of weapons in the NFC? And yet, Brady, the last time he won a Super Bowl, did it in the lowest scoring Super Bowl in the history of Super Bowls. Lowest scoring Super Bowl ever. They beat the Rams, right? Did it on his defense. And if he's going to win this year, it's going to be based on the defense too. Really, what Brady has to do is limit mistakes. Of course, every quarterback has to make some nice plays, but he basically has to limit mistakes. That means that he's less important because there are more quarterbacks who can do that than what Aaron Rodgers has to do. Aaron Rodgers, by the way, Stephen A., you've brought it up, and I really haven't pushed back that much. I say Mahomes is the best I've ever seen. You said Rodgers, but I agree that Mahomes and Rodgers are by themselves in terms of who my eyeballs have been on where I go, that guy's the best I've ever seen. It's the Mahomes-Rodgers category. Guess what happened yesterday after Mahomes threw 3 interceptions, even though he almost threw for 400 yards and beat the Dolphins on the road? Guess who's number 1 in quarterback QBR right now for this season? Number 1. Aaron Rodgers, he of 39 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. And you just got through saying Brady got more weapons than Rodgers. We talk about all the time how Rodgers has only thrown passes to 2 different receivers or pass catchers drafted in the first round of his career. And they didn't even go out and get him help in the offseason, Stephen A. Like Tom Brady's team snatched an offensive lineman, right? They wanted to show up the offensive line. Aaron Rodgers' team drafted his replacement in the first round. They didn't get him any help at receiver. They didn't even get him any defensive help. And the Packers' defensive upside is not what the Bucs' defensive upside is. If the Packers go on a Super Bowl run, and they might come out of the NFC, because right now they got the bye. 1 bye to go around, they got it. It's going to be because Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers right there with Mahomes as the best who ever did it. And if the Bucs win, it's going to be because Tom Brady game managed, great offensive weapons, and a surging defense. Bucs ain't going to win unless the defense plays. I see this completely the opposite as you.
Well, the way you looked at you keep bringing up Brady when he was in the Super Bowl, the lowest scoring Super Bowl, but the year before he lost the Super Bowl by scoring 33 points and throwing for 500 yards. It's just that next year, I mean, you had Julian Edelman who had a lights-out Super Bowl, and you had Rob Gronkowski, and basically you had to rely on your running game because you didn't have much of a passing game instead of throwing in short yardage situations, excluding that one lob to Gronkowski near the end of that Super Bowl game. When you look at Aaron Rodgers, let's take this into consideration and just look at it this way. I look at the greatness of Aaron Rodgers, and I will give you this. They got the number 1 seed, which is a big, big deal, even without fans in attendance, because inclement weather is definitely expected to play a pivotal role. So if you have an aging Tom Brady and an aging Drew Brees, who both have to come to Lambeau Field in order to win a playoff game and to get to the Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers is at a decisive advantage over those two under those conditions as opposed to being in a dome or in Florida sunshine weather. Fair enough. But to me, that's even another reason why so much of this comes down to Brady. You got to find a way to click with those weapons. Green Bay's going to do what Green Bay does because they have Aaron Rodgers. What we have seen from Brady isn't what we've expected to see from him in terms of his connection with those
It's what
weapons.
I expected to see.
If that happens, everything changes. Yes, that's true. It is what you expect.
It's what I expected to see.
And to some degree.
Because, like, he's got 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
You actually expected worse.
I knew he had so many weapons, I thought they would make him look a little better than he actually is at this point. I think that's, in fact, what has happened. I think Brady is not quite as good as he looks right now on a team that's as loaded as the Bucs. In other words, put him on a more mediocre team, he wouldn't look as good. My point is, when he won the Super Bowl, when he lost the Super Bowl by throwing 500 yards, that was the last gasp of his prime. The next season, the reason Belichick built the team that way is he knew Brady couldn't take them there. He needed to rely on a defense and running game. That's why they were built that way. Rodgers, Stephen A., you used to lament this about Drew Brees. Rodgers is so taken for granted, his greatness, that his team knows we don't even need to draft weapons in the first round. We don't even need to use that pick on the defense. We'll get by with a good enough defense because Aaron Rodgers is Superman. He's the most important player in the NFC.